Hello, friends. For those who are seeing me for the first time, let me introduce myself. I am Praveen Padil. I have been into the stock market for the past 14 years. Apart from being a technical analyst, I practice GAN analysis and astrological forecasting techniques, whereby I have been forecasting and predicting for the past 8 years now. And I have made many predictions in the past, like the bottom of Nifty at 6825 to the exact dot, the rise of the gold from $1,000, a new bull market will begin in the gold, the crash of the crude oil sub $10 level. So many predictions have been made, but those predictions were for the private group that we have been maintaining for the past 7, 8 years now. So the last week on 25th of April 2020, we had a private webinar called The Big Picture, wherein we have discussed a lot of things that are going on in the current economic scenario. We have discussed a lot of things both on the economy front as well as the financial markets front. Friends have been asking me to make a video on this particular subject on the webinar on what are the things that were discussed, because it was purely an invite only webinar, and most of them have been only been private groups. So people were looking at the large picture, like for understanding how things could shape up from here on. So I decided that I will make a video on this particular webinar just by giving you the top 10 forecasts or the predictions that we made on that particular webinar called The Big Picture. So here we go with the top 10 discussions or the forecast or the predictions, as you like to call, that were discussed on that particular date. The first thing that we discussed was on the coronavirus itself. So if you were to understand, the coronavirus incident has happened because of the solar eclipse with the 6 planetary aspects and the Sagittarius house. So what I feel is like when this corona incident will be completely over, or when the 100% cure will come for this particular incident. Looking at the planetary aspect, we can say one thing for sure, that Ketu has to leave the Sagittarius house and the Jupiter has to leave to the Capricorn house with 3 degrees ahead of Pluto. So when that could happen is most likely in the month of January 2021 and February 2021. So these are the 2 months wherein we can expect that there is 100% cure for this particular disease. Till then, many medicines, many vaccines would creep up, but for 100% effective, we will have a permanent solution for this COVID-19 in the month of January or February 2021. The second thing that we discussed on that particular webinar was a good thing that could happen on the verge of finding a solution for this particular coronavirus itself is that accidental discovery to one of the chronic diseases. Means every 37 years, whenever Rahu Ketu transit happening during these particular houses, I have found that a solution for the past problem creeps in. So what do I mean by that is like looking at the various diseases, origin dates, and the planetary aspects. One thing we can say for sure is that there are 3 chronic diseases that I have in my watch list. They are Alzheimer, cancer, or AIDS. These 3 things are very chronic in nature. However, I feel that an accidental discovery wherein by scientists trying to find a solution for this COVID-19, accidentally they could come up with 100% remedy for any one of these chronic diseases like Alzheimer, cancer, or AIDS in the month of September or October 2020. I've seen it in many times, like this 37-year cycle has helped us to discover a solution which is chronic in nature, but all of a sudden a permanent solution is being found to one of the problems that has been created in the past. So during September or October 2020, we could have an accidental discovery whereby we have 100% cure for one of these diseases. The third thing that we discussed on that particular webinar was on the Nifty itself. So if you were to look at it, we are in a bear market, and people were asking like, what is the most probable bottom for this particular bear market? There are two targets that I had in my mind, and there are two dates or 2 months wherein we are looking out for this bottom to be in place. The first thing was 7340 in the month of March 2020. The second target was 5525 in the month of February 2021. We have already crossed March 2020, and we have already hit somewhere near 7340, which is 7511, the absolute low. But looking at the astro aspects, I certainly feel that this problem is not over. The bear market is not completely out of it. We are yet to see the after effects of this COVID-19 in the economy as well as the financial markets. So I believe that 5525 being tested in the month of February 2021 is the most likely month wherein we find a bottom for this particular bear market in Indian Nifty. The fourth thing that we discussed on that particular day was again the Nifty, the next bull market for Nifty, and what are the targets. So I feel like from 2021 February bottom, we'll have a new bull market in place. However, that new bull market won't be a mother of all bull markets. It will be a slow packed recovery that is going to take place. So you need to be very careful in selecting the stocks and sticking with what kind of industrial pick or the stock pick needs to be very, very careful in that particular bull market. So that bull market, which is starting from February 2021, will stretch all the way till December 2027. In that particular bull market, we are looking from a move from 5525 all the way to that of 16,600 in the Nifty. So you can be very picky in that particular bull market, stay selected in the stock picking, and you can ride that particular bull market confidently towards 16,600 by December 2027. The next thing, the fifth thing that we discussed on that particular webinar was on the Dow Jones. For the US economy as a whole, many things are just beginning, and I feel like there are many more problems that are going to be unfolded in the next few years. So I don't find any bottom to be in place anytime soon. And we believe that the Dow Jones has the potential to repeat that of 1929 cycle, which is most evident in the horoscope of the USA. So I believe that there are highly chances that Dow could crash all the way 90%, and we don't find any recovery of the current peak in Dow Jones to be repeated at least for the next 2.5 decades. So brace yourself for a prolonged recession that is going to take place in the US economy as a whole. The sixth thing that we discussed was on the US dollar. Right now the market is falling, and everyone will find that cash is king, and everyone will take a hide in the US dollar, and the bull run is not complete in terms of the dollar is concerned. So we believe that 112 is the most likely peak that could take place in the US dollar. It can even stretch and surprise even us from 112 to that of 120, but that will be the peak of the US dollar in this particular year. From there, it's going to have a crash even in the US dollars, wherein we are feeling that from 112, it could crash to all the way to sub 50 levels. The seventh thing that we discussed was on Indian rupee. Indian rupee, if you were to look at it, I feel like we have been predicting this Indian rupee at 82 for the past 5 years. So most likely we are near to that particular target. It could even surprise us by depreciating much further towards that of 98 level by the end of this particular bear market that we are seeing. So 82 is one crucial level that we are watching out for in the Indian rupee. If 82 is being sustained on a weekly basis for 2-3 weeks, then we can see further depreciation happening in the Indian rupee all the way till 98. However, the good part is that the Indian rupee will peak out in the year 2020. We are going to see a new bull market taking place in Indian rupee. Means the economy itself is going to have a golden period in terms of the development is concerned. So I'm looking forward from 82 or the 98 levels, wherever the peak is going to take place, most likely in the year 2020. From there, we are going to have a 14 to 16-year long cycle of the bull market or the appreciation market in Indian rupee. From 82 or 98 levels, we could go back all the way towards 28 mark. Uh, First thing is like because of the gold weakening, sorry, the dollar weakening. The second thing is the overall development that is going to take place in Indian economy as a whole. So in the next 14 to 16 years, we are going to see a huge appreciation in Indian rupee. And from 82 or 98 levels, we are going to see the start of the next bull market in Indian rupee all the way towards 28 by the year 2034 to 35. So we are going to have a very good overall development for the economy as a whole. The eighth thing that we discussed on that particular webinar was on the gold. We have already communicated that from 1000 levels, the new bull market has already begun in the gold. And going by the timeline in the next 1.5 years, that is by June 2021, gold could top out somewhere around $3,128. This is our target that we have for the next 1.5 years, because it's already been started, and we are going to complete one cycle of the bull market by June 2021. So this is the first target that we have for gold. Thereafter, there will be kind of consolidation phase. Again, it will start moving up because the peak again is correlating with that of 2027 to 2028, first quarter of 2028. So relatively, if you were to look at it, we still have a lot of time left for the gold bull market to be complete. And the next target after hitting 3128, after consolidating, we believe that it has the potential to go towards a 4834 and that of $5,183. These are the targets that we are looking out for gold in by the end of the entire bull market that is in place right now. The ninth thing that we discussed on that particular webinar was on the crude. We have already discussed many times right from 2013 that the crude has the potential to retest once again sub below $10. And so happened that recently the NYMEX crude has tested below $10. And we have seen for the first time in history that contract has been expired on a negative side also. So there were no surprises for our private group members that crude has been tested below $10. And going by the timeline, I don't find that the crude has bottomed out yet. There is one more round of testing towards the new low or the sub 10 levels once again. But the good news for the crude players and the crude oil companies and people who love to trade in crude is that the next 7 years, again, till 2028, is going to be really favorable for the bulls in the crude. So from sub $10 per barrel levels, we are going to see a new bull market taking place in the crude oil itself. So that could take us all the way towards 280 to that of $300. Yes, that is going to be a place wherein we are going to see mother of all bull market instruments. So the next 7-8 years, it's going to be the crude oil once again booming back to the all-time high levels towards 280 to $300. So don't be afraid of having a $10 crude. So we are bullish in that particular segment from September 2020 onwards. And the 10th thing that we discussed on that particular webinar was on the US elections. So US elections, if you were to look at it, as I speak, the two candidates for the 2020 elections, both the Democrat and the Republican, has been finalized almost between Trump and Joe Biden. Looking at the horoscope and the astrological positions on those particular dates and the events, what I feel is like there are high chances for Mr. Joe Biden to win this particular election. But looking at the astrological positions at that particular front, I still feel that there are high chances that the new president could be a woman. Means if Joe Biden actually have a teammate running for him as a woman, there are highly chances that Joe Biden and his teammate will definitely win this particular election in 2020. And between the election date to that of the inauguration date, anything could happen. And ultimately, the vice president elect, that woman or the madam vice president elect candidate, could actually turn out to be taking office of oath for president of US in 2021. So these were the top 10 discussions that we had on that particular webinar. For the benefit of those who could not attend this particular webinar, we are making this video with the top 10 predictions, and hope you enjoyed this, and only time will tell whether these predictions of the forecast will turn out to be true yet again, like we have been doing for the past 8 years. So thank you so much for your time, taking out your time to listening patiently to the top 10 predictions at this particular point of time. Thank you so much.